Varavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakrutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhahitam Sarvabhuta Guhahitam Babhuta Guha Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarva Vide Namaha. Sambhavyo Gochare Shabdaha Pratyayo Vanachanyatha Sambhavyo Tadatmatvat Tadahankartu Ahankartustathaiva cha. So question was, how do we come to the conclusion that I am bound, that I am limited, that I am a samsari? How do we come to this conclusion? That we have reason to come to the conclusion that this cloth is orange, because the orange is in the same locus as the cloth. Cloth and orange, both of them coexist, and therefore both of them are appreciated simultaneously. Then sambandha is there, relationship between the cloth and the orange color, and so the conclusion is the cloth is orange. So, is it possible that Atma is experienced and bondage also is experienced? Bondage, limitedness, samsaritvam, dukkham. In the same locus as Atma, if both of them are experienced the same locus, then we can connect them that both of them are related. That the bondage belongs to Atma, that Atma is bound, that I is bound. Here the teacher says that bound, meaning limitedness, does become the object of our knowledge, can be objectified. The sense of bondage can become the knowledge of our mind or intellect. But I cannot become the object of intellect, because it is the illuminator of intellect, it is the very self of the intellect. Or the smallness can become the object awareness of ahankara, ahankartuhu. But the I cannot be objectified of ahankara, because the I is the very self of ahankara. One cannot objectify oneself. Therefore, that I or the Atma can never become the object of awareness the way the Ghatapata are. Not that we are not aware of Atma, but one cannot be aware of Atma as one is aware of this Ghatapata. Whereas one is aware of limitedness, bondage, body, etc., as one is the Ghatapata. So just as Ghatapata are the objects of one's awareness or knowledge, so small, limited, etc. are the object of awareness. The body is small, the mind is limited. But the I cannot become the object of awareness. Gocharaha. Gochara means that which can be objectified by Shabda, by the word, by the statement of the Upanishad, by the sense organs, by the Ahankara. So that we have been entertaining this notion all the time that I am limited. And thus taking myself to be limited, I am living my life and struggling to become free from limitedness. And I am never successful. It appears that the limitedness of one kind has gone to be replaced by another kind of limitedness. Dukkham of one kind has gone to be replaced by another kind of dukkham. And therefore, my endeavor to become free from limitedness, sorrow, is never successful because I keep on lumping the two together where they are not true. Therefore, to become free from sorrow, the way is to recognize that sorrow is never in Atma, never in I. That limitedness, bondage is never in I. That I am sorrowful is more a conclusion than a reality. The reality is what it is. The next verse will tell us. Therefore, next verse is Tasmat Adyasta Nishedahe Vaktaveti Siddham. Therefore, in my conclusion about myself, that I am limited, that limited aspect is lumped together, superimposed, adhyastha, and I am is my essential nature. So it has become the habit for me to join this limited, which is the nature of body, mind, sense organs, with I am, and conclude or believe that I am limited. And therefore, the nishedha, meaning the negation of the superimposed part, the limitedness part, is what the Upanishad teaches. So it is not that the I has to be known. It is that the non-I, which is somehow been lumped with that with I. What is Nisheda? Is to recognize that it is non-I. That what is Nisheda is not some action. To recognize that the limited belongs to non-I, belongs to the body, to the mind, to the upadhi. That I am a beggar. That I am is my nature, the beggar belongs to the costume. That recognition is called Nisheda. Nisheda also is just recognition. So this is what Upanishad helps us do. And that should go on also all the time, as best as is possible. But every moment there is a conclusion in mind about me. By default there is a conclusion. If I keep on addressing that conclusion, if I say, what makes you think that you are a woman, or a girl, or a daughter, or this, that and so forth, They are there, but they don't belong to I am. So this is how the Nisheda has to take place. By recognizing that yes, this belongs to the body. I am really is revealed in the next verse is of a different level altogether, a different reality altogether. Therefore, Nishedha Vaktavya Siddham. So all that the Upanishad is to do is not to assert what you are not. What you are also is told, but basically what you are not. Therefore, the verse 26 says, 25, sorry. Ankartratmaninyastam chaitanye kartrutadiyate neti neti iti tatsarvam sahankartra nishidyate. Yat kartrutadi ahankartra chaitanye atmani nyastam. Yet kartrutadi, that kartrutva, etc. So kartrutva, bhoktritva, sukhitva, dukha, the whole thing. Ahankartra nyastam. Nyastam is given means superimposed. So nyastam here means superimposed. So nyasa also is superimposing, So Atmani upon the self, Ahankarta, third case, by the Ahankarta, by the ego, yet Kartrutadinyastam Ahankarta, Ahankara keeps on superimposing Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutvam, etc., Sukhitvam upon Atma, Chaitanya Atma. So this is happening by default, you can say, happening. We are not doing it deliberately. There is no action involved or deliberation involved in the superimposition, something that happens. Netine tat sarvam netineti ahankarta saha sahankartra ahankartra saha nishidyate. Ahankarta, third case. So saha, sardham. Ahankartra saha, along with ahankara. Ahankara himself also is negated. Ahankara superimposes, then ahankara also is negated. Superimposed is negated and superimposed also is negated. Superimposer negates and then that is also negated. Yena tyajasi tatyaja. You give up that by which the giving up takes place. So that is the meaning of neti neti, not this, not this. That's sort of all of that. Neti neti statements is not this, not this. Only two things for everything. That's sarvam nishidyate. Everything is negated. So the tika says chaitanya chit swarupe atmani. Yad ahankartra. By ahankara. So what is the reason why, or in what manner ahankara superimposes these notions upon atma? Savas antahkarana avivekena. Antahkarana is there. Antahkarana is always savasam. It is the nature of antahkarana of the mind to reflect consciousness. To be enlivened by, whether you call it reflection, you call it avacheda, being confined, circumscribed by consciousness. Like you can say that the space is circumscribed by ghata avacchinnam akasham. So this is avacheda. Here avacheda is, you can't say ghata pratibimba. It is water in the ghata, then the pratibimba comes on the reflecting medium. So this subtle body, Antahkarana, is both a reflecting medium as well as a confining medium. Avacchinnam chaitanyam, Antahkarana pratibimbai chaitanyam, pratibimbitam chaitanyam. Call it abhasa, call it pratibimba, sabhasa, along with abhasa. So Antahkarana is always appreciated along with abhasa. Just as water is seen along with the reflection, because the nature of water reflects. So because Antahkarana also displays sentiency, consciousness, therefore that Antahkarana is taken to be Atma. So what it is Sabhasa Antahkarana, Antahkarana along with Abhasa reflection is one, Atma is another, Avivekena. Because that consciousness seems to be an Antahkarana is taken to be Atma. Avivekena, because of aviveka, non-discrimination, lumping together, ahankartara, by ahankartara, kartrutvadi nyastam. So kartrutvadi belongs to sabhas antahkarana. Antahkarana, which carries with it the reflection of consciousness. Antahkarana has different forms. Consciousness doesn't have form, it's formless, nirvishesha. But Antahkarana, the Upadhi keeps on changing, now Karta, now Bhokta, now Sukhi, now Dukhi. And therefore constantly the Ahankarta thinks that I am Sukhi, Dukhi, Karta, Bhokta. So what belongs to Antahkarana is taken to belong to the I. That is what is meant by superimposition. Tatsaram, neti neti, nishiti, nishidyate, all of that is negated by the words neti neti, naiti naiti, naidam naidam, is not this, not this. And ultimately sa ahankartra along with ahankara. Now ahankara negates up to that point. And the very ultimate avadhi is ahankara, which also is to be dropped. So you say, I am a witness of the Antahkaranam, witness of all the vrittis of Antahkaranam. Up to that point, all of them are recognized as anatma because they are objects of awareness. Then in me also, now I can ahankara. Ahankara has two parts. One is the changing aspect, other is the unchanging aspect. The ahankara keeps on assuming different forms. Karta, bhokta, sukhi, dukhi, father, mother, etc., etc. All those forms are coming from the upadhi, from the Vesha. Prananeva pranana bhavati vadanvat pashyan chakshuhu shrun shrotram. Whereas breathing takes place, he says, I am a breather. Seeing takes place, I am a seer. Hearing takes place, I am a hearer. So this is sabhasanta, all of this superimposed. Recognizing that even hearer, thinker, I am the witness of hearing, thinking, etc. And finally recognize that witness also is the role. When the thing to witness is that I am not a witness also, I am the content of witness also. Of the consciousness, that is the unchanging part of it. The witness also has a changing part, that witnessing, so walking, witnessing, talking, witnessing various activities. So that is the changing part of witness also. The only unchanging part is I am. Therefore, what is meant by nisheda is giving up identification with that seer, hearer, thinker. Not judge myself as even a witness. And what is the unchanging, non-negatable, self-essential aspect of that is what I am. So that witness also is ultimately given. Ahankara also is given up. Adhyastha nishedeva chet shastrena kriyate. If this is all that the Shastra does, adhyastha nisheda, negation of what is superimposed, that identification, non-self, that's all that Shastra does. Katham tarhi atmana sarupopalabdhi. But then how do you know the Atma? In fact, what is to be known is Atma. What is being done is negation of anatma. How by the process of negation, how can knowledge of Atma take place? You keep on saying that this is not an elephant, and not a cloth, not a table, not. You keep on negating this. How do you know? But what is this? So this we do not find this happening in our day-to-day life. We are describing something as what it is not. We don't get the knowledge of this. In case of Atma also, what the Upanishad does is describes what it is not. But how do I know Atma? Katham tari atmana swarup upalabdhi iti. Swarup upalabdhi means perception, knowledge, recognition, cognition, or knowledge. Swarup upalabdhi, how does the knowledge of self take place? By negating what is not self. So next verse is upalabdhi. Upalabdhi swayam jyotihi drishih pratyak sada kriyah sakshat sarvantara sakshi cheta nityo gunodvayah. So Upanishad does describe what Atma is in this manner. Upalabdhi. This is all what we discuss in in this text itself in quite great detail in the earlier part, prose part, the Gadya. Upalabdhi. Upalabdhi means cognition. But not cognition as an action. Cognition also ultimately means the consciousness which alone cognizes. They all explained to us. It is not the eyes that see, it is consciousness that sees. Well, because without consciousness, eyes cannot see. Yes, shrotrasya shrotram manasaya manaha. So who sees? You can say eyes see. But inasmuch as eyes cannot see without consciousness, and in the deep sleep state, when the eyes are not there, then also consciousness, very content is there. So ultimately, we have to say that consciousness sees, consciousness hears, consciousness knows, not in the sense of limited not seeing, but the real seer, shrotrasya shrotram, the real hearer in the ears is self consciousness. So in a secondary sense, Atma can be said to be hearer. In primary sense, the organ of hearing is a hearer. But inasmuch as organ of hearing cannot hear without consciousness, therefore, in a secondary sense, Atma alone can be called hearer, thinker, talker. So that way the real knower is Atma, Upalabdhi Swarupa. Swayam Jyoti, self-evident. So this question of how do you know something by negation is relevant only with reference to that which is not self-revealing. Inasmuch as a part does not reveal itself, therefore, by negating what part is not, you cannot know the part. Part has to be eliminated and say separately. But Swayam Jyoti, the self is ever known, ever shining. It doesn't have to be made known. The part has to be made known because part cannot reveal itself, therefore must be revealed by the light of consciousness through sense organs. Here, self Swayam Jyoti, self-revealing principle. Drushihi, the very witness. Pratyak, the innermost. Sadakriya and Sadakriya, two readings are there. Sadakriya, Sat, in that case, the existence, and Akriya, actionless. Or Sadakriya, ever actionless. Sakshat, immediate reality. Yat Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma. Ya Atma Sarvantara Tanme Vyachakshveti. The Ushasta Chakrayana is Bhudanikum earlier. Ushasta Chakrayana asks Yajnavalkya. Yat Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma. Ya Atma Sarvantara Tanme Vyachakshveti. Sakshat, immediate. Aproksha, Sakshat, direct. Aproksha, immediate. So that is direct and immediate. Immediate, of course, can be many things also, depending on how you define it. But direct, these immediate things also have an intervention of these sense organs of the mind. But Sakshat means direct, without any intervention of mind or sense organs, that means my very self. Sarvantaraha, the innermost self of all. Sakshi, Cheta, Kevalo. So this comes from Sakshi, Cheta, Kevalo, Nirgunascha, from Shivdasudara. Eko Devaha Sarvabhuteshu Gudaha Sarvavyapi Sarvabhutantaratma Karmadyaksha Sarvabhutadivasaha Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha. Now Sakshi Cheta. Here there is simply a reiteration of what is said in different places in the Upanishads. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Nitya. Agunaha or Nirgunaha. Advayaha, non-dual. So all these words come from Upanishad only. I mean, this is a Upanishad. So Advaya, Dvaya is Agunaha, Guna is negated, Advaya, Dvaya is negated, Nityaha, Nityata is negated. You can put it that way. But that is already revealed, helps us to recognize that what is the truth of I is when I really become so inward looking, so focused upon the I, that I am subtle enough, my mind is subtle. So drishyate to agraya buddhya sukshmaya. Agra buddhi is there, sukshma buddhi is there. So sukshma that I recognize that this, the dvayaha, karta, bhokta, all of these belong to anatma. They are all objects, objectified. And give the identification. Judging myself by them, that's all. What is meant by identification? I stop judging yourself by these things. So, Tikas Anupalabdhyadi Swarupatve Pramana Abhavat. That Atma is Anupalabdhi Swarupaha, is unconscious. There is no Pramana. Pramana is Upalabdhi. Upalabdhyadi, all is Swayam Jyoti. So, there is no Pramanam to say Atma is not Swayam Jyoti. Not Upalabdhi, not Drushi, not Pratyak, etc. Pramanam is Atma is Upalabdhi, Swayam Jyoti, Drushi, Pratyak. Idharatracha Sakshat. So there is nowhere it is said that Atma is Anupalabdhi. Atma is the Jada, inert, Paraprakasha. Whereas it is definitely said it is Upalabdhi, Swayam Jyoti, Drushi. That is why ityadina uttararda sutrita shrutinam pramanatvat. So first of all, nowhere the Upanishad say that Atma is jada, paraprakashya, etc. And very clearly says Atma is swam jyoti dushi swarupa. So there is no pramanam to say that Atma is not self-effulgent. This pramanam to say Atma is self. So for self-effulgent this works. Negation work was something that is already evident self-effulgent because you don't have to make it evident. Swaprakasheva Atma sada swata siddha. Therefore, Atma is I is self-effulgent. Swata siddha, self-existing, self-effulgent, self-sufficient. ननु आत्मा आत्मीयमिति च द्वयम् अहम् मम प्रत्ययगोचरत्वेन प्रसिद्धम्. अहम् मम प्रत्ययगोचरत्वेन प्रसिद्धम्. अहम् I, mama mine, pratyaya concept. So right now I know myself. What is I? Right now Atma is prasiddha, is known to me as I. And what is related to Atma is known to me as mine. So right now the Atma is aham pratyaya gochara. Atma is the object of knowledge by the concept I. Right? So I, the Atma is the concept of this thought I, and what is connected related to Atma is mine. So how do you say Atma is self-effulgent? Atma is effulgent, Atma is revealed by the pratyaya I. That I is what reveals Atma. The mind is what reveals things connected related to Atma. Which means that Atma also requires this, the pratyaya I, for it to be known. Right now, Atma is known as the content of the notion I. Therefore, you require that I. For you to know Atma, how do you say Atma is self-effulgent? If I was not there, Atma would not be known. Is it not so? Then Atma, Atmiya, I and mine. Iti ja dvayam aham mama pratyaya gocharatvena prasiddham. Prasiddham, this is what is well known, or this is what is known, that I know that I am because that notion I is there, then only Atma is known, otherwise Atma is not known. And then mine, what is connected to Atma is known by this, by the concept mine. By concept I know the Atma. By the concept mine, I know things connected to Atma. Tatha sati katham Atma swata siddha. If that I was not there, you would never know Atma. See, the point is that Atma would not be known unless there was this concept, this pratyaya, or this concept I. Had it not been there, Atma would not be known. Therefore, it is that concept I that reveals Atma. So, Atma is revealed by pratyaya I. It's not self-revealing. Therefore, how do you say Kathamatma Swata Siddha? How do you say? You will never remember any of these things. If you don't write these things, you will never remember. These things are nobody can remember. If you cannot write down these are things, they are very subtle points. Unless you go home and listen and write notes, that's a different thing. Otherwise, nobody can remember this. So just listening is not enough. Make notes. Tatha sadi katham atma swata siddha. Tatha sat, if this is the case, the Atma is known by the concept I, and what is connected to Atma is known by the concept mine, then how does the Atma would not be known if concept I was not there? Therefore, how does the Atma is self-effulgent? Iti asankya. Upadivasat tata prasiddhi. Prasiddhi means it is known. That Atma is thought to be known by the concept I. That is because of Upadhi, not because of nature of Atma that Atma is known as I. It is because of the Upadhi. So, verse 27 says, Sannidhau sarvada tasya syatada bhobhiman krita atmatmiyam dvayam chataha syadaham mama gocharaha. This I shines as Atma. Right now, what shines as Atma? The I claims to be Atma. Because I seems to possess the qualities of Atma. Sarvada sannidhau. Because of sannidhi, proximity of consciousness, that I notion also shines as I. Ahankara shines as I as a self-effulgent entity, not because it is self-effulgent, but because it is in proximity with consciousness. Like the crystal may shine as a red entity or an orange entity. Not because it is red, but then it is because of the proximity of the red color that the crystal shines as red. So if you do not have that viveka, the redness belongs to a different locus and crystal is in a different locus. Both of them look one. And so also I looks like Atma. But then in I, there are two aspects. There is a form of I and consciousness of I. The consciousness is not the nature of I. The red is not the nature of crystal. It is because of the proximity of the red color that the crystal appears red. So also consciousness belongs to Atma. That I is like crystal, I thought. That I thought, because of proximity of consciousness, also shines as conscious entity. And therefore, I is taken to be a conscious being or consciousness, and therefore is thought to be Atma. One thing I know, that I am a conscious being. I am a conscious being. But right now, the I looks like conscious being because I seems to borrow consciousness from the Atma because of proximity. Just as the crystal seems to borrow the color from what is proximate. Or a bulb borrows the glow from the proximity of electricity. The fan seems to be running itself. The bulb looks like glowing on its own, but that's because of proximity of electricity. The fan appears to be running on its own because of the proximity of electricity. So also the I thought seems to shine on its own, and therefore it is taken to be Atma, but the shining does not belong to I. It is the borrowed shining because of the proximity of consciousness. Upadhi vashat tat tatha prasiddhi. Upadhi, the cloth will be called upadhi for the crystal to appear as color. Sannidhau sada tas sarvada tasya syat tat ava abhimanakrit. Abhimanakrit or ahankara or I thought. Abhimanak, because I thought then creates all abhimana. So abhimanakrit is simply ahankara or I thought. Sarvada sannidhau. The I thought is always in proximity with consciousness. That avaha, ava means the light. And therefore, that aham thought, the I thought, shines with the glow of consciousness. The I thought shines with the glow of consciousness because of proximity of consciousness. So therefore, the I thought is taken to be Atma, or Atma looks like the object of I thought. And Atmiyam is what is connected with Atma. So dvayam cha, Atma, Atmiyam, Aham and Mama. The I thought and my thought. Both of them appear to be real because they are conscious, but that consciousness being derived from the proximity, aham mama gochara. So it's not that Atma is known by the I thought, but I thought glows in the consciousness because of proximity, and then therefore it is imposter claims to be Atma. So we take I thought to be Atma only because it shines with consciousness. So I know that I am a conscious being, but I thought also is conscious. Therefore, I thought is taken to be Atma. So Tikakara says Abhimanakrit means Ahankara. Tasya also comes from the word Tasya Chidatmana Sarvada Sannidhau. Tasya Tasada San. So that Ahankara, Aham Vritti means I thought. Chaya Ahankaryoraikyam Taptayah Pindavanmatam Tadahankaramashitya Dehaschetanatamagaat. Chaya Ahankarayo Aikyam. The I thought and the reflection of consciousness, they become one. And therefore Ahankara shines as though in consciousness. And subsequent identification takes place. So ultimately, Deha, Chetanatam, first I thought gets Chetanata. Through that, up to the Deha, the Chetanata as well spreads. Chetatmana Sarvada Sannidhau, always. I thought is always in proximity with consciousness. Consciousness always is. Whenever I thought shines, because consciousness is always there, so if and when I thought shines, it may not shine in deep sleep. But when it shines in waking dream, the consciousness is there in proximity. Tadavaha Chaitanya Prakasha Yuktata Tadakara Syat. Because it is endowed with the conscious, you can call it reflected consciousness, Avasa, Chidavasa. The I thought becomes as though consciousness. Ato hetoho Atma Atmyam Dvandvam cha Syat. For that reason, there is I and my thought. I thought, the content is Atma. My thought, the content is the connected thing. That is aham mama the vyavahara. I and mine. So how can Atma become the locus of vyavahara of I? Atma becomes the locus of vyavahara, shabda prayoga, concept I. Atma is not even I. It is not. Even I also is not the ultimate description of Atma because I excludes you. So true nature of Atma, which is consciousness, does not exclude anything. Right now, the Atma seems to be confined to I and then connected to mine. That is how the conclusion of our Atma is. That who is Atma? I. What is I? Which does not include you. Says no. that I in contrast to you is aham vritti in contrast to other vrittis. And aham vritti, on account of the proximity of consciousness, becomes conscious as though, doesn't become but shines with consciousness, the glow of consciousness, and therefore is taken to be or thought to be Atma. So today, what is thought to be Atma, I thought is thought to be Atma, and there is a reason. Because it is understandable that I take myself as a conscious being. And I thought always appears as conscious because of the glow of consciousness in proximity. Therefore, the I thought is taken to be Atma. That is how in our life, I and mine, this vyavharadi shabda prayoga comes. Tathacha savasa antahkarana tadvritti avivekad. Therefore, savasa antahkarana means antahkarana which carries the reflection of consciousness. Tadvritti. Antahkarana takes different vrittis. So aham also is a vritti. Aham also is a vritti or thought modification of antahkarana. Avivekat, that abhasa is a reflection coming from the proximity of consciousness. So that is not essential nature of I thought. Consciousness is not the essential nature of I thought. The I thought is felt to be conscious because it reflects the consciousness that is called abhasa or pratibimba. And therefore, sabhasa antahkarana tadvritti avivekat. Aviveka, non-discrimination, non-separate from consciousness and I thought. So we are not distinguish the I thought from consciousness because the consciousness always appears, is experienced as though along with consciousness. Because aviveka of consciousness and I thought, the I thought is taken to be Atma and my thought is taken to be related to Atma. Ahamiti, mameti ja bhasamanopi. Ahankara shines as aham, I, and then mine. So, even though Atma shines as I and mine, ultimately who shines as I? Atma, consciousness, to the agency of the I thought. So one may conclude that if I thought is not there, Atma is not there. So Atma is illumined by the I thought or becomes the object of I thought. Says no. Even when I thought is not there, the consciousness Atma is very much there, as in deep sleep, etc. So that time people think consciousness is not there. What is not I thought is not there. Because I thought is taken to be Atma, absence of I thought, such as in deep sleep, is taken to be absence of Atma. And that's how the Shunyavada comes. There is no consciousness. Because in deep sleep, everything becomes unconscious. So even though, as far as the ordinary people are concerned, Atma is known as I, is not that the I objectifies Atma, that I has a borrowed consciousness and Atma is independent, self-shining consciousness, which because gets reflected in I thought, therefore consciousness is thought to be I. The I-ness belongs to the I thought. The I-ness that excludes you belongs to I thought. So understand that Atma is not the meaning of the I also word I, ultimately. Because the word I primarily applies to the I thought, what we call ahankara. And therefore, Atma is not the meaning of the word I also ultimately. with I-ness, which excludes you, that also doesn't remain. That's the true nature of Atma. Evam aham pratyadehe anya vishatva upapadadena. When aham pratyaya also is not Atma, anya vishatva upapadanena. Aham mama also, aham also is not Atma. Upapadanam. This was shown with yukti, with reasoning. Sambhavyo gochare shabdaha. So the concept I is not Atma. Even concept I also is not Atma, because that concept I primarily applies to the I thought. Therefore, the I-ness also is not there in Atma. That's what was shown, that pratyaya, aham pratyaya also does not describe Atma. Anya vishayatva upadanena, that even aham mama pratyaya also does not describe Atma. Sambhavyo gochare shabdaheti. So we saw that verse 24. Sambhavyo gochare shabdaha pratyayo, shabda and pratyaya. The word and the concept. Iti shlokoktam. So the concept I was addressed here. That concept I does not describe Atma. The concept I describes aham vritti, which is glowing in consciousness because of proximity of consciousness. So Atma is not even the object of the concept I. Iti shlokoktam pratyaya agochartvam. So Shabda and Pratyaya too were mentioned. So this Pratyaya means concept, that Atma is not the object of the concept I. Idanim Shabdas. Then is Atma the meaning of the word I? Understand, meaning word and the concept. There is word I and concept I. Word part and concept part. The concept is the conclusion that we have about ourselves, about I. So when the word I is uttered, immediately that I notion comes in me, that will be the pratyaya. A word is uttered and a word creates the concept, that's called pratyaya. So what part is uttered in the mind, the pratyaya, the concept, part is created. So Shabda and Pratyaya go together. So word I and concept I go together. Now the earlier verse told us that Atma is not described by the concept I. Can it be described by the word I, Shabda? Idanim Shabdasyapi Vishayantaram Darshan. Even Shabda also has Vishayantara. Atma is not the Vishaya of the Shabda also, even of I. Tat agochartam upadayati. Atma is not gochara, not objectified by either word or the concept. So next one says, Jati karma adimatvadhi tasmim shabdastvaham kritihi. No, sorry. Tasmim shabdastvaham kritihi. न कश्चित् वर्तते शब्दः तदभावात् स्व आत्मनि. Ahankriti, seventh case, Lord Ahankrit. So Ahankartru, sometimes the author uses Ahankrit, same as Ahankartru, Ahankara, Ahankrit. So Ahankriti in Ahankara. Shabdaha, tasmin ahankriti shabdaha. The shabda, even aham or atma shabda also describes ahankara. Because ahankara is jati, karma is all. Ahankara is born, in deep sleep ahankara is not there, it is born. Ahankara performs actions, etc. So Ahankara can be described in words because for an entity to be described in words, the entity must possess some qualifications. Jati, Kriya, Guna, Sambandha, Rudhi. Jati, some species. Brahmana, Kshatriya. Guna, some quality. Good, bad, indifferent, red, yellow. Kriya, some activity, inherent activity. Driving, cooking, walking. Sambandha, a relationship, like a cousin, like nephew, niece, etc. And Rudi, a name, Devadatta, Yajnadatta. So then these are the one or more of these qualifications. When an entity possesses one or more of these qualifications, then alone it can be described in words. So this part can be described in a word because it possesses jati, partness, it is born. Kriya, it performs an action of carrying water, etc., or storing water. Guna, it has a color, what red, etc. Everything need not all of them, but then jati, kriya, guna is my part, sambandha. So when an entity possesses one or more of these qualifications, then alone it can be described by words. So word has an application or meaningfulness with reference to an entity that possesses one of these qualifications, jati, kriya, guna, sambandha. One of the visheshas qualifications must be there. Ahankara has these things. Therefore the word I can land on ahankara, word thought can land on this object thought. So the word I will land on the ahankara. Ahankara is jati, kriya, guna, these things are there. Jati karma adimattvadhi, because ahankara is possessed of jati, karma, etc. Therefore, tasmin shabdaha, that aham mama shabdas, they land there in ahankruti, aham vritti. Tad abhavat, but in consciousness is content of the aham vritti. Tad abhavat, jati karmadi abhavat, consciousness, no birth, no action, no vishesha, no quality, no name, no form. Sve atmani na vartate, therefore even the word I or Atma, because Atma, the real nature of Atma, the consciousness, is devoid of any qualifications whatever, of jati, kriya, guna, sambandha. Therefore, even the word I also does not land in consciousness. The word I can land into ahankara, which possesses the qualifications to be described by the word. Atma does not possess. Therefore, Atma is not the gochara. Shabda gochara, pratyaya gochara. How Atma is not gochara, is objectified by the concept I, nor is Atma gochara reachable by the word I. Meaning of the word I. Idanim shabdasya vishayantaram darshan. Shabda also Vishaya, Atma is not the Vishaya, Vishayantara, Ahankara is the Vishaya of the Shabda. Agocharatvam, Shabda agocharatvam upadayati. Atma is not the meaning of a word, not even meaning of the word Atma for that matter. So Tikakara says, so Tasmin Ahankruti. Tasmin, seventh case. Ahankruti, seventh case of the word Ahankrit. So kru pratyaya, krut pratyaya, kara is all of them modification of kru. So ahankara, ahankruti, ahankartru. Tasmin ahankruti, ahankara, sabhas, when ahankara aham vritti. When vritti comes, abhas automatically comes because vritti always reflects consciousness. So sabhasehi. When that is not there in deep sleep state, then the ahankara is, the aham vritti, because that consciousness is withdrawn. That is what the Upanishad describes, how deep sleep takes place. Atma withdraws from sense organs and from prana. So in a very dramatic way it is described through all the nerves that are slowly withdraws consciousness into its heart, and therefore everything becomes unconscious, including the final I thought also withdrawn. The I thought also doesn't have existence in deep sleep. So consciousness can be withdrawn and it can be imparted. It starts imparting, then again they all become awake. So only when the I thought possesses abhasa or reflective consciousness, that is when it becomes functional. Sabhasa nischitam, in the I thought, and everything beginning from I thought has jati, has birth, kriya, action of identification, etc. Jati, kriya, guna, sambandha, shabda pravritti nimittatvat, ahankriti, ahankavarti, and everything following that, all of them are they shabda pravritti nimittatvat, because all of them are nimitta. They have the reasons for the words to describe them. Shabda pravritti nimitta. Nimitta is the cause. The cause for pravritti, for application of a word should be there. Word can apply to an entity which possesses jati, kriya, guna, sambandha, and ahankara possesses them. The ahankara can become the meaning of the word I, let us say, or whatever word is in whichever language it is, aham. Tadabhavat, but in consciousness or atma, even that pravritti, no word has a pravritti, because atma is devoid of anything. So the jati is not there, kriya is not there, guna is also not there, sambandha is also not there, even rudhi also. The word atma is not the name of atma. Pravritti nimitta jatyadi abhavat. So Shabda can have its scope with reference to an entity that possesses one or more of these qualifications. Sve Sarubhute Atmani Nirupadike, in Sopadika Atma, meaning when Ahamvritti is Upadi, then Ahamvritti lends itself to description in words and concept, but not Atma. Nirupadi Kaschida Vishabdo na pravartate, no word has this pravritti or scope in Atma, even word Atma also. न प्रथम विषयी कुर्वन् इत्यर्थः. No word can objectify Atma, no concept can objectify Pratyaya, nor the word. Ata Atma Swata Siddha iti bhavaha. Atma does not require a word to reveal it. So other things require words to reveal them. A part can become known when it's a part, then this thing, can become known. So word part creates a concept part in your mind. Then alone the entity can be known. You don't require word Atma or a concept Atma. It is known on its own. Only in light of that everything else is known. So Ata Atma Swata Siddha iti bhavaha. Okay, we'll take a break here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.